Oh, I guess we
My
live
bad.
now. My intro ain't start, so here we go. My bad. Welcome to the Leon Block, y'all. Thank you for joining in. Of course, we're here. Knowledge is always soul, and make sure you go be great. Tonight on the show, we have Sheree Clark of the organization Freedom Fighters out of Wilkes-Barre, PA, here to talk about BOBs, otherwise known as Black-owned businesses, and other small businesses as well, because I think that all businesses that are small of color do share some of these traits, but specifically we are talking about Black-owned businesses. Um, Last night I touched on it was like part one of the this little topic. I had read a post about uh, somebody just giving their grievances about how we approach Black-owned businesses, and there were two different sides to how people saw this argument within the comments. And there was a person of color in particular that was extremely critical of this particular business that she patronized, and she didn't like it. She didn't like the service. She had stuff to say about it, and she was very vocal about, how like she was going to let them know, whether it was through Yelp or whatever. She was going to be vocal and let them know without cause. And my first grievance when it just comes to that is like how you speak on it. And like you and I were just talking, and the conversation was gone, so I figured we'd just go live from there. But like,
Right.
you just actually start off with telling a little bit about yourself, what you do, who you are, for viewers.
Sure. So I'm Sheree Clark, a co-founder of the organization Freedom Fighters out of Wilkes-Barre. We were birthed out of the George Floyd protests that occurred here. We wanted to continue to ride the momentum after the trend is gone, to ensure that there was a staple in the community that would continue to fight for change, for equality, and fight against injustice. I'm also the founder of True Love Movement, which is the community side of our organization. We do project survival, and we look for opportunities to empower the community from the inside out. Whether our government gives us what we are demanding or not, we still need to be fortified as a community. So creating initiatives and projects that would help build, educate, foster a safe space for our community to thrive is pretty much what Freedom Fighters vision is. And so, yeah, I'm here.
Yes,
I,
yes.
I
So,
wanted to just say that I wanted to chime in. I feel passionately about the topic of Black-owned businesses, and I was
oh
a
yeah,
part of those comments. So I wanted to have a conversation, and here I am.
and it seems that from the time where before I even started the live yesterday, we was having a conversation about it, right? Because I posted like a little
Right.
a little tidbit of what I was thinking, and then yesterday through the live, I'm guessing that like maybe your thoughts on the conversation kind of shifted a bit. So could you elaborate on that, like the True Love movement and Valentine's Day? Explain that for me.
Surely. So one of the things that I've always been passionate about is endorsing and patronizing Black-owned businesses. So we had a list of some items that were specific that we wanted to fill utilizing Black-owned businesses. And one of the things from being on the front lines is opportunity doesn't always present itself. And when you are out in the community, you begin to build relationships. And for me, fostering relationships and bringing people into position of opportunity as I can is important to me. But of course, there are things that come up that are you have to be cautious about, because when
Right.
you are making introductions, your name is on it. So what I like to do is patronize the business first before I put it out in my circle, to ensure that the product is of quality, the customer service standard and levels are there. And just a little tidbit, I work in customer service. I've worked in customer service since the age of 17. I'm 41 years old now. So customer service is something that is my area of expertise, and so
Right.
in endorsing a business.
So that little last part there, you cut off a little bit. What was that?
Surely, the expertise in the field of customer service gives me an eye, and so that's what I'm looking for when I'm endorsing a business. And that's definitely what I'm looking for when I'm sharing with others a business that they should patronize.
So let's say like when a business is doing business with another business, and they're both small businesses, both businesses of color, what's your viewpoint on like conducting business, especially going forward? You know, where we are right now and where you think we should.
I think that I'm going to give you a small story about how I feel we should come together as a community of businesses. I had an opportunity this summer to go to Philadelphia during the voter registration drives, and we were looking to have some Hispanic food, and we went to one restaurant, and what we were looking for specifically, they did not have on the menu, but they would not let us walk away. What they did was they walked us to another business that had what we were looking for, and basically introduced us to this business and encouraged us to endorse this business. And I would love to see that more within the community of Black-owned businesses. It was a healthy community there, and at the end of the day, everybody wins, because I was familiar with the menu of the first business. So when I go back, simply because of that gesture, I may consider doing business with them. So it's never a loss. And them working together as a community of businesses, they keep the business within that community. They would not let me leave that little circle of businesses to go look what I was looking for elsewhere. He ensured that we could take care of you. We may not be able to do it here, but I'm going to take you to exactly where you can get what you're looking for.
See, that's I think that's really key right there. Having a sense of community and making sure that we're helping one another. And at least from my experience, I will say, in my opinion, it's hard to come by that in a Black community, in Black communities with businesses. But we also don't really have many Black businesses. Like they're within one pocket of a region, right? Let's say a city like Wilkes-Barre or a city like Lancaster, there's only a handful of a cluster of small businesses. And even within that, for decades, we've been taught to fall prey to the divide and conquer tactics. So it's extremely hard to get out of that mindset of looking at someone as the other when we're all brothers and sisters here. You know, I was looking at a statistic off of this one website, and I'll put the links to the pages in the comments, but it says that, of course, Blacks make up more than 13% of the U.S. population, but only 7% of the businesses. So that obviously doesn't reflect right there. And 1.9 million of the 2 million Black-owned businesses do not have paid employees. 1.9 out of 2 million. So if all those businesses paid even just 1 or 2 employees, think about how much that would help Black unemployment to bring those levels down. But also, I think it would also play into the sense of community and giving a sense of we're all doing this together, and it's not just one person like helping themselves. It's seen as like we're all doing this for the betterment of Black communities. So I think it's a lot of different things that go into that, but I think that's one of the most important things is uplifting all small businesses, uplifting the other small businesses, especially in their own particular communities. For sure.
I think that's something that plagues our community on a whole, and I think it plays out really, really big in the business community. There's a few things at work, a few things historically at play that we have to consider. I think it was mentioned last night, the crab in the barrel mentality that plagues our community. And so it's really difficult to see a network of us working together to uplift and build one another when the mentality is, they may step on my head to get out the barrel and leave me behind. I think that's something that, plays out not only in businesses, but throughout organizations as well. Just that sense of community is very difficult to kind of begin to foster in our community. But I think, where we are, we always can start to do better. And I think, but I do think that it starts with that, a true sense of community, a true sense of network. I always say one of the things that I've been known to say is that, you can be, one finger, but when all fingers come together to create a mighty fist, there's a better, chance of making a blow. And I think that's what we have to do is come together as different businesses being representing the fingers, but come together and network and community so that we can give, a mighty blow in the economy, in the sense that we can begin to own a piece of the communities that, we patronize. When you look at other communities, their dollar circulates throughout their community. Our community is one of the only communities that our dollar circulates out almost immediately. And that's a problem. That's something that, more fortified Black-owned businesses can change. So I'm glad that we're having this conversation.
Yes. You look back, pre-civil rights era. Let's go back to Greenwood in Tulsa, Oklahoma. I mean, we have an example of what it could be, right? We had those things. They were taken from us. We went into the fold and became Americanized in a sense, right? And we kind of became split up and disenfranchised. Fast forward to 2020 and the things we went through last year. I spouted out that statistic that between February and April of 2020, we lost 41% of Black-owned businesses. That's huge. So we do have to hold on to what we have, but I also think that we're in a unique position to realize where we are, with all the light shown upon us, for people trying to show us love, whether it's performative or not. Bad publicity is still good publicity, right? So at the end of the day, I think that even if we have people promoting Black-owned businesses for clout or promoting products, and they may be white, there's still ways that we could gain some of that attention back to us and utilize it to capitalize on that.
I think as a people, we're one of the most diverse, creative, people on the planet, and I think that this is a great opportunity to showcase that through the businesses that we begin to see come about. I can attest that we definitely have taken a hit, due to COVID, and that's because, again, we want to stay facts here. We're not always at the table for the same resources, and that's an issue. We don't get the same opportunities, but I don't believe in making excuses. I think that we were born with tough skin, and that's just because we have the stuff to make it in the midst of opposition, is really what I'm trying to say. And so we can definitely talk about all of the reasons why, or all of the reasons that are set up to keep us from thriving. But I think with that knowledge, we need to be creative enough to overcome some of those obstacles, because we may never get, quote unquote, what it is we're seeking from our government. But it doesn't mean that we can't come together as a community and assist each other be successful.
I completely agree with that. There's so many things in that I want to touch on. Real quick, there's a comment from Jasmine Rivera. She is also a business owner here in Lancaster, and it's amazing food. I've actually tried it. It's a pickup and delivery service here out of Lancaster. So definitely taking advantage of the pandemic right now, and definitely doing the thing. So her comment says, as a Black-owned business, I fund my business completely out of what I produce and personal funds, no loans or outside support. And I am thankful that I have a few friends who volunteer their time to help me run the business. It's a beautiful thing.
Yes, it is. That's that community that we're talking about. Absolutely.
A, community, and B, the fact that no loans, no other investments from outside entities that would therefore hinder or hurt you in some way, or that you have to feel like you're on puppet strings. So I extra commend you right there, because as a person of color and running a Black-owned business, that's huge right there. For you to say that you're doing that all on your own, that's huge. And those are the businesses I feel like need the extra care and attention paid to them. Those are the businesses that we especially need. I think those are the businesses that have the most creativity and drive, because it comes from raw, fueled passion. You know what I'm saying? Whereas we do have, like you had touched on just now, people start businesses for many different reasons, right? within the Black community, we do tend to do things that are close to our heart, but also we know that's going to make money. So when it comes to food, hair, those are things we do and know very well. It's part of our culture. So we tend to go to those things. But just as fragile or vulnerable as the businesses that I was just describing, I think when it comes to diversifying our businesses, for people that may want to start up a Black vegan restaurant or a Black antique shop, those are things that are a little out of the norm for what people would consider for Black-owned businesses. So those people have a bigger risk in doing what they're doing. But I think initially it's important to have those people taking those risks, because we need to, in my opinion, branch out a little more and diversify what kind of businesses we have. What say you on that topic, Sheree?
Well, I'm a huge believer in diversity. I think it's smart to open up a business that you can appeal customers. So you have to know your demographic, obviously, before you open a business. But everybody's tastes and interests are different. And I think one of the things that, were touched on last night is that sometimes as people of color, period, we're boxed in by other people's standards. So somebody like myself growing up, I love the theater. All right, I love the arts. That wasn't something that was necessarily popular in my hood. So of course, I had to hide those things, to make it through junior high school. But I'm just saying that people's interests vary. People's tastes are different. So don't box yourself out of an opportunity because you don't necessarily think that your product is something that can be marketed. And just because you're a Black-owned business doesn't mean that your market needs to be, Black-based, right?
Yes,
that's
yes.
another thing.
But also,
trying to keep ourselves, yeah.
Also,
we keep ourselves in a
touch
box.
on that real quick. When not even just like, there's a lot of Black people in the hood that, or anywhere really, but have this assumption that you have to stay in this certain realm of how your business is supposed to be, food or hair. And if it's anything else other than that, Blacks are always so skeptical at first, like, I don't know. But then you also got white people that are like, I don't know, because I think it's just for Black people. And so the Black-owned business is kind of like feeling like they have to cater to certain audiences and like pick and choose the audience they cater to, whether they're going to be bougie and white or they're going to like lower their standards and appeal to Black people. Well, there are Black people that have very refined tastes. There are very much poor Black people that have very fine taste as well. We're not all one monolith, as you said. So it's important that we do branch outside the box as Black businesses and at least try new things. But going a little bit further into this topic, like, how would we go about that? Because we're not getting the loans from the government, and it's really hard to depend on one another to pull our resources together. That could be a hard thing. So like, that's my thought right there. That's like kind of where my thought ends. Like,
I mean, we definitely can draw some really clear lines as far as what the problem is. I think the solution, though, is a little deeper, right? Because I think it goes back to what we talked about in community. Like, one of the things that I want to do here, I was talking with we have some Black-owned businesses here, and we were talking about how do we highlight those Black-owned businesses, and I'm like, well, we go there, we eat. Let's take a recorder. Let's do a review right there, and let's post it amongst our mediums and hope that others would do the same. Right. It's just about getting started, right? Let's just get a list of the Black-owned businesses that just circulate it, right? Because we've been there and it's great. You know what I mean? And just begin to highlight them within the community, I think, is a start. I don't have the overall, and it really is a bigger, there's a long-standing history with why we're facing some of the issues that we face. And we have not always been encouraged individual selves and be okay with that. And so because of that, business owners may struggle with having their own identity and being comfortable with that. They may feel like they have to cater to a specific audience to be successful. And that's understandable because, again, there is history behind that. I think these type of conversations, you know, even amongst Black-owned businesses, and to begin to create community is going to help to uplift Black-owned businesses and help to give them a substantial support system.
I completely agree. I completely agree. Faith Moon Love commented, said, excellent point, i.e. Black owned doesn't need to be Black supported. And I think this is something, especially in light of 2020, that a lot of whites are now coming to terms with an understanding that Black owned business isn't just for Black people, it's for everyone. We just happen to be Black and own a business. You know, it's not just for one group. Jasmine Rivera says, I used to be a vegan, so I'm all too familiar with cooking my cultural food vegan style. However, when offered to the public, it simply did not take. We as business owners take a huge hit. So I stood with the basics to our culture with a few remixes. And I'll touch on that real quick too. I think that may be part of it. Is just you see a lot of fusions these days, and that's just not even in the Black community, but just all across the board. Ethnicities and tastes, they'll fuse it up with different cultures and try and add a twist on something to separate themselves from other people. And I think at least at the very basics, starting with that to get all of our communities opened up to more things, I think that that's still very good at the very least. But I also do think that region and location does play a part in it. Specifically here in Lancaster, we do have a large Latinx population, but we do have a large Afro Latinx population too. So it might just play in part of people being scared of something new and the business owner being not afraid to take those chances, you know? So in my opinion, it's the patrons, the customers that really need to do a little soul searching to step outside the box. But in other regions, it might be a little different. Like say you're in West Philly, there are there's a chain out there called Wishbone, and they do soul food but with a unique twist, and it's a hit, but it also speaks to all different races and ethnicities, and it's also LGBT friendly. So it's for some, like if you had that business here, it would be an anomaly right off the bat. Do you know what I mean? So my point is, I think that location does play a part in it. But obviously, when a business, you know, jumps into this realm, they're doing the research with that already. But my point is that I would urge any business owner to continue to, if they can, continue to take those chances because we need you and we need the innovation and creativity. I know I'm talking a lot.
No, it's cool. I agree. I think you know, you could start off possibly with maybe a theme day where you try something new for the day and see how that goes. But I can agree that as a business, you know, you want to take minimal risks because at the end of the day, this is your bread and butter. So that's understandable. It really is going to be about the area that you're in. I agree with that as well. The people that you serve, it plays a huge part in what your product is going to be, if your product's going to sell. But of course, before you go into business, these are things that, you know, you're researching. So, you know, just don't box yourself in. Don't think that because you are a Black-owned business that you have to appeal or cater to only Black people, that you want to keep your audience broad, so that your dollar bills could be large.
Yes. So I wanted, because you were discussing some grievances about like businesses doing businesses with one another, and then I guess the discussion yesterday like maybe change your perspective on some stuff.
So because I'm in customer service, my expectations probably are not set at the regular consumer's place because it's It's what I do for a living. So the eye is there, and there's things that I look for. I think after the conversation, I don't think that I've ever been someone who is malicious in anything that I do, but because there's such a level of quality that I look for, um, you know, I have made my grievances in the right ways. And this is just, coming from not only the conversation yesterday, there's some just mature points that have happened in life. And then being involved in an organization, you're kind of on the other side of the table as well. So it changes your perspective. So one of the things I really wanted to highlight is accountability. I wanted to talk a little bit about accountability. I think it's very important to hold Black-owned businesses to a certain standard, that there needs to be accountability. But it needs to be done with care, and it needs to be done in love, simply for the fact that as a community, we need to continue to encourage each other to grow and develop. And so if there is a grievance, I think that that you should never air out a business before you give that business an opportunity to correct the error of their ways. And so, a personal conversation regarding your grievance, I think it should always be the start. Yelp and bad reviews can really destroy a business. And that's if, the intent should never be malicious. If, I asked for, 2 pieces of chicken and some, string beans, and I got 1 piece of chicken and my string beans weren't so great, that's a situation that I need to involve that business in. I need to let that business know, in this particular situation, it wasn't there, and talk a little bit about what they could do to change that. I think it's important to hold people accountable, but I think we're often quick to out someone, not understanding the damage that we do to the business as a whole. And then, that trickles off into the community. If we don't have more and more Black-owned business substantial, then, as a community, we don't own anything. And that's kind of a reverse effect.
I think that one of my biggest things is seeing so many people so quick to leave bad reviews on small businesses pages, but not give the same attention taken out of their day to do the same thing for big corporations. Someone will be so quick to spend their time leaving a bad review on a business of color, but they will not take that same time to call McDonald's back or Walmart. I mean, yeah, you're in a drive-thru, you'll go back around to the drive-thru, but when you got home, how many times do you get home and you call them up? You know what I'm saying? And that's something that really gripes me, like it gets under my skin, is that level of respect is just off. And I really want people to understand that constructive criticism is important, but it's about the way you go about it. Because I'm sure Walmart does get lots of reviews, yes, but not nearly to the capacity of where they actually should, because I'm sure 95% of us have a lot of the same grievances about, for example, Walmart, but we don't share them, let alone with Walmart themselves. And so that's my thing right there. Faith said, Jontel, as you pointed out earlier, publicity by whites, whether it's superficial or not, is something to welcome. Either way, it's a benefit. This might be a topic that should be put to a white audience, i.e., if you really want to support Black community leaders, what exactly are you as a white person doing this outside of posting on social media? I completely agree with that. I completely agree. We've got a lot of white people doing the performative allyship thing, and it's become a bit of a fad to support Black people, Black things, Black thoughts, whatever. And I'm not knocking it. It's about time. But while we're at it, I think that if you really want to help us, you will help us build capital. And the least thing you can do is eat out for Saturday dinner at the business around the corner from you because you're helping to pay their bills and put food on their table. It does so many things, not only for a community, but it shows a level of respect. I respect what you do. I respect what you offer to this world. I respect your livelihood. I respect your creative mind. I respect your mind. I respect your ideas. I respect your innovation as a person in this world. At the very least, that's what it's saying, and that's very important. That's powerful. And when I think when other black people patron businesses and they're seeing other white people show that basic level of love, I think they'll do the same. You know, I think a lot of black people, um, how do I put this? We all, in some way or another, are mental slaves here in America, right? But a lot of black people, particularly a lot of poor black people that come from certain environments, having uh having things is the one thing that can make those people happy given everything else going on in their lives, right? So I can understand why there are some people in within black communities that give black businesses such a hard time, right? Their money is valuable to them. Their money needs to go a long way. So if they see fit to buy expensive shoes or buy this, that, and the third, I'm not judging, okay? But I think that also is a it's also showing that that's a symptom of something else. It comes from other things, right? And if we're all showing that a certain business is not just for one type of people and other people are going to that business, I think more people from all colors and walks of life will then, those stigmas and stereotypes will slowly start being knocked down. And am I right? Like, does that make sense?
I totally agree with when you see other people patronizing a business, your confidence in that business is raised. I think the tragedy, though, as Black people, is that we need to see white people patronize a business before we feel comfortable in that business. That's something that has to be broken down. You know, and again, we talk about the historical, you know, damage, and you hit on a few of those things. I think education is a key. I think for centuries in this country, Black people have been locked out of the secrets of success. And because we don't know the secret sauce, we don't know to dip our nugget in it.
Yeah.
Where we know to dip
it. We're kind of like walking blindly.
It's really about feeling like I've acquired. So my sense of acquired things where, you know, that's not really an asset, right? There's a saying, and I don't know what the level of censorship here is, so I'll just it's not an asset if it's on your you know what, but we don't get taught those things, right? We don't understand that those pair of Jordans depreciate in value the moment that you put them on. You know what I mean? We don't know how to take our money and make things are historical, and because of that, we don't really have confidence in one another. And I think that's really where the problem begins. Have a sense of my sense of confidence should not have to come from a white person or white people patronizing. That should never be the case. But as you stated, it is a lot of times the case. And you know, so there's a lot of reasons why, but I think conversation is where it starts. I think exposing some of the reasons why we are dealing with some of the things that we're dealing with as a begin to shed light on some of the things that we should, some of the directions we should be taking. I think, again, it really all boils down to community. It really boils down to trust and really self-love. See, when we begin to understand that we are a creative people, we are an innovative people, you know, we are on equal playing fields mentally, right, with anyone else. When we begin to be confident in that within ourselves, we will begin to allow our creativity to shine through, and we will not only have creativity, but we'll have to understand that the product I put out represents me. So when I have pride in myself, I'm going to have consistent with that product. And that's what's going to begin to bring people back to my business over and over and over again. You know, when I go somewhere to get, you know, a lunch on a Saturday and I get 2 scoops of mashed potatoes and I go back on 2 half a scoop of potatoes, you know, that's an issue. You know what I mean? The consistency has to be there, the quality has to be there, the service has to be there for people to want to patronize your business. And I think that those qualities are not, I think those qualities are, I think it's just a matter of educating ourselves as a people, and ways to become more effective in business. And it starts with conversation, and it starts with making resources available so that they can educate themselves in these areas.
Yes, I completely agree. You just touched on so many things that I want to say, and I like my mind's going crazy right now. I don't know. You you touched on so many good things. Let me just touch the comments real quick. Faith Moon Love said, I'd like to see a community program similar to 10,000 Villages, Mennonite supported immigrants, etc. Create a program that is all about supporting American Black owned businesses. Jasmine says, it frustrates me to receive feedback from white folks, but to be straight up, my objective is to serve people of color with not Americanizing out meals or putting our health at risk. Yes, yet the Black community stays silent most of the time unless they are aware of the importance of their voice. Oh my God. Oh my God. Everything within that is like spot on. Like spot on. Let's dissect this real quick. First of all, it's important because she touched on it, like she hit it on the nail. Americanizing, or like repalletizing how we market ourselves to the greater audience, right? And I think that's something that's really important, is sticking to who you are, sticking to your own, saying this is my product, and like not trying to be so much like whitewashing it for those exact people, you know. Like that's gotta be hard. That's gotta be hard. And I think we as Black patronizers specifically have to be less critical and more understanding of that, because that doesn't come in with like, oh, my greens was cold type of thing. Do you know what I mean? That comes with critiquing the business in entirety, and that's more like, oh, you sold out because you're a little too bougie for me kind of thing. And that like gets, for me, it gets under my skin, because I think we need to be a little more compassionate and understanding when it comes to that. But when we talk about the quality of products and how it should be, in my opinion, healthier for our community, and at least attempt to be with the concern of care for our community. I think that's important. I think it's something to commend, because we need more businesses, especially Black-owned businesses, to step to the forefront and lead the way and say, you know, we don't have to change everything, but there are some things that we could improve on. Or I have an idea that's different than what other people are doing. Let me show you what I'm cooking up in my mind. And or like, maybe there's so many people out there that have wanted that specific kind of stuff but never really thought about it and never had anywhere to go to look. Slutty Vegan is a huge thing right now. And I'm sure so many people have been wanting a nice, really good vegan burger that legit tastes like a burger, and for years have never been able to find it, and they've never went and made it up themselves. They've never spoke on it because they didn't think about that. But when someone actually made that about, they made it tangible, now they created a market for it, and now there's people actually going and patronizing that business like crazy, to the point where it's spreading out to other cities. So there's tons of other markets specifically for Black communities that we have never even touched the surface on, that there are so many people within our communities that we have a taste for, but we're probably so scared to break out of the box and say that we actually want those things. Like how you touched on, growing up, you were into art and theater and stuff, but you were afraid to really talk about it for fear of getting you know, bullied and stuff. I can relate with that on certain things. Like, I was a bit of a nerd. I liked things that other Black kids didn't like, you know, growing up.
Right.
And, you know, going forward, at this point in 2021, we all know that blacks come in many different shapes, sizes, colors, and forms. We're not all the same, right? So at this point, my thing is, it's okay to step outside the box as a black person. You do what you feel in your heart to do. If you like anime, watch anime. If you like cosplay, do that. If you want to be a plumber, do that. If you want to be a fitness instructor, do that. Like, whatever is on your mind to do it. I know I went off on like a whole rant, a tangent, but Jasmine, you really sparked my like, yeah, that comment was everything, because I think that the black community is not as vocal on how much their voice really does make a difference, on what they want, what's in their mind. We're so quick to just criticize and shoot another person down with what we don't like. We don't talk enough about what we do like, or what we do not see, and what we want to see. Because, right, let's face it, like, there's still a lot of different realms that we don't have visibility in, right? There's still a lot of tables that we have no seats in, we have not pulled up seats in, and we still have room to make advancements in. But a lot of us haven't thought about, oh, I could do that, I could do this, you know? So I think that needs to be further too. Now let me shut up. What you got to say?
Well, I think one of the, I'm just going to keep it real. I think one of the challenges when you talk about Americanizing and marketing to a specific people, let's just keep it serious. I need people to buy my product. And for a very long time, you know, the cliche is, or you know, black people don't patronize black businesses. Case, as a business owner, I have to market to who's going to buy my product. For example, if I'm an artist and, you know, black people would prefer to, you know, get the bootleg version of my and white people, I need to market my music to who's going to buy my music. So that's the pickle that we find ourselves. That's the easy fix. Go support your sisters and brothers. That's is an easy fix. But as a business owner, and I had to feed my family, when it comes down to it, the audience that I am looking to please is the audience that's going to buy my product. And that's you know, so there's so many things at work here when we talk about black owned businesses. I think that particular issue is a really easy fix. Go patronize black owned. They are right. I think you know, that talked about enough. I think that's probably a topic for another live, but you know, we have to help each other out. We're not going to be fortified as a community if we don't. And it, you know, it's not strange that other communities thrive with each other up. We have the capacity to do that, but we don't talk enough about it. And so we find ourselves in a position where, again, that crab barrel mentality still exists. You know, and we have to talk about that. We have to talk about how to break away from that. And the only way you can do that is through, you know, trust is built over time. Some small things that you could do in your own community is once a week, patronize a black business, right? Once a week. You know, me personally in my life, just you know, things, you know, I've chosen to minimalize my own lifestyle so that I am capable of patronizing black owned businesses. You know, and there's things that you can do to do that. But another thing I think is really the biggest thing is making these black owned businesses visible. You know, getting in the community, finding out where these businesses are, what these businesses' expertise are, what it is they do, patronize the business, and then circulate the information. That's the only way we're going to be able to begin to move in a new direction, right? I mean, I think we could spend hours talking about all of the issues and all of the problems, but I love to talk about some solutions, right? And one of the things that, you know, small things that we is do the research, find out where those black owned businesses are in your own community, get a list, circulate it on your social, and you know, make the ask, you know, go patronize these businesses. Again, my name is very important, so I would have to patronize the business before I could circulate the business. But you know, that's me, and be able to confidently circulate that business and encourage my friends and family. So I think that's something that we all could do. That's something small that we all can do. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, that's just one of the things. I would be interested to see what the audience has to say about some of the solutions, though.
Yes,
Some
I
people
agree.
that are tuned in, what do you guys?
So I got some comments here. This was up before we were speaking on this last part. Faith said that's a hard line to follow, but integral to staying vital. Um, we all need to be better at reminding others to do this. And I think her comments were referring to patronizing black businesses, but also like the palletizing towards white people and all of that. That whole conversation. Marianne said, "Lift them up," and Faith said, "I like your character, Sheree." Yes, yes, yes. Um, yeah, if y'all tuning in and y'all have any comments specifically talking about this, by all means tune in, share your thoughts. That's what this is for. And we would love to hear what y'all have to say. For real. I did drop a comment in the chat here. It's an article about 50 plus black owned businesses to shop now and forever. So if you get your paper towels from one place, if you get your dish soap from well, you probably get that stuff from Walmart, but 9 out of the 10 items you get from Walmart you could probably get from these black owned businesses and patronize them for the rest of your life and not have to go to big court. So I think that's a really cool list to check out. And also, if you have any businesses, black-owned businesses or small businesses you would like to add in the chat and show love to, support, or rep, please, by all means, do that as well. That is what this is also for. Yeah, it's important to continue to do all we can. So even just having this little chat gets the conversation going. And whoever has watched it at least is spreading this to other people. So in my opinion, I've done my duty on that note. But not really. I was just stressing my my grievances about the comments that I saw the other day, because I literally hate when I see black people so quick to down a black owned business. It breaks my heart. Now, like I said, constructive criticism is great and it's much needed, and we do need to have it. But be kind and be respectful, and that goes for any business, really. Not even just black owned businesses, but particularly our black owned businesses need that extra care and love. Marianne says, growing up in a diverse area, I'm used to having a variety of ethnic businesses and restaurants. Could eat anything I wanted. When I moved here, I lost that ability. Wow. I will say, when I lived in Wilkes-Barre, when I first moved to Wilkes-Barre, there was nothing for people of color. Like, there was nothing for people of color. And over like a 5 to 7 year period, I watched Wilkes-Barre like explode with stuff. But I do think there's still a long way to go for sure. But I've definitely seen some progress. I'll give it that. But I think any and everywhere across our nation, without a doubt, black-owned businesses, we need more of. Point blank. And so the ones that we have, we've got to show extra love to. We really do. Like you said, just patronizing once a week. Think about how many families patronizing a local business once a week actually brings into that business, that black-owned business, that small black-owned business. That means a lot. That means a lot. Tips mean the world too, to waiters and waitresses of color that work at black-owned businesses, especially, which by the statistics here aren't many. There's not many of them. Dave said, I think one way is to start promoting our SMR experiences. Get a list of all locally owned businesses. Here in Lebanon, we are trying to establish a Latina Business Association, which I see as a start. Anything's a start, really. Anything stepping outside the box and challenging the status quo really is stepping outside the box. Just opening one business when people are telling you that there's no market for it is a start. So me personally, I encourage anyone that is that has any idea, even if it's just selling some T-shirts from their home. If your hustle is something that can make you extra couple bucks, by all means, do it.
I agree. Just remember with anything that you put out as far as a product, let it be a good representation of who you are. You have to take pride in your product, and I'm a strong believer in quality. You know what I mean? And I'm also a strong believer in paying for what you get. So a lot of times we don't consider all that goes into making right a T-shirt. So we don't we just like, oh, it's just a T-shirt. Come on, cut me a break. What we don't understand is there had to be equipment purchased to make that T-shirt, materials that are needed to make that T-shirt. All of that gets calculated in the cost of, and so sometimes we don't understand all of the things that go into the service that we're asking for. And I read something that talked about where there was a dispute with a price, and so the small business owner said, well, I invite you to you can definitely do it on your own. Let me just give you a list of all the things that are going to be needed to go into it. And at the end of the day, to do it on your own, without any expertise, without ever doing it before, not knowing what the outcome is going to be, the investment was better to go ahead and patronize the small business. And I think that's important to bring up as well. We don't always know all that goes into, why a small business charges the price that they do charge. Be considerate that there are other things in front of you, but it's all that goes into making the product that you have to be charged for as well. So that business can be successful. So I just wanted to bring that up too, because the thing that irks me the most is the come on, cut me a deal, give me a break. And it's like my kids got to eat. So if I give you a break, I'm taking a biscuit.
Yes,
so
yes.
I
And
felt like that was
but
needed.
what you also touched on as far as quality, that goes hand in hand with constructive criticism, right? Because if you did not care for the quality of something, but you still see the potential in that business, or you want to show them love, give them that constructive criticism. But also, if you did not like, or you did not think that what you paid for was what you got, or you get what I'm saying, like, then I think that's important to speak on, because maybe that person does not know that people are viewing their product as subpar, which I think that business should definitely know that before their business suffers and then they shutter their door. So that constructive criticism is key, and it does go a long way if presented right. And I'm not critiquing someone's criticism. I'm just saying that a little respect and a little compassion goes a long way when you're giving opinion. But it is definitely needed. It is needed. We can only get better if we know what we're doing wrong. Okay. Couple more comments. Marianne Velez put a free advertisement up. They don't get the same rates as the big chains. Big chains receive huge discounted prices because they buy larger quantity of bulk items. There you go. I can't believe we didn't touch on that, but that's so true. So true. Okay, and then Jasmine put up a comment, says, okay, I'm going to say this, and I'm okay with receiving fire for it, but as people of color, we hold our own people to a higher standard than that of a white business. We run with that mentality of Black excellence without ever acknowledging that there is a learning curve, a struggle, and that people are actually human. So we figure if we spread a negative word of mouth, that we will teach that business to improve. Yet we don't acknowledge that a simple, hard conversation can change the narrative, regretfully. And I agree with 100% of that. And I think that that's, in my opinion, a big problem that a lot of Black businesses, I would think, face within their own communities. What's your opinion on that?
Again, we're talking about some historical layers. As a child, I was always taught that I had to, you know what I mean? A- wasn't an A, and nobody remembers number two. Just different things that are historically taught as Black people. And again, I think that these historical issues trickle into how we do business, how we relate one to another in general. I our standard of excellence is in home. Then I feel like other children, and simply because in this country, you can't just be right. You have to be better than. This is the narrative that this country has put people, and so excellence is the standard that I all levels. You know what I mean? Like, and it's again, this is something that has been engraved in us as a people. I think
Sunday best.
That does trickle into Black businesses even more so, because we've been taught that we have to be better than. And so because we've been taught that we have to be better than, our expectations of each other are higher than that of our white counterparts. And that's just where we are until we do better. And it just really is about accepting who you are and understanding that you are excellent because you are. Not that you have to be better than anyone, right? But again, this is historical. This has followed us generationally. And it's just a vicious cycle that has to be broken. And I think it starts with bringing it to light, having these type of conversations, acknowledging that it's there so we can work through. But it is definitely something that is generational. That's a big one. Those are some of the things I call like doorkeeper chains. That's a big one. And it is something that has been passed down generations.
Yes.
That's something that we have to work on as a people.
Yeah, I know. I agree. Everything that she said touched on that and danced around it, and is also dancing around the topics that we were touching on when it goes back to constructive criticism, because the people that need to hear that constructive criticism the most are Black-owned businesses, and telling them directly shows an immense amount of respect from you and for that Black-owned business. And so word of mouth can make or break a business. And so the least you can do as a patronizer of a business is show respect, especially respect for Black communities, by telling them directly about a certain issue you may have. I think at least one time warrants that respect. But yeah, speaking to the history behind this, we as people of color, especially Black people, have always been taught to the way that we've been degraded over time. We have that innate feeling in us to always look our best, in a sense, and keeping up with the Joneses and all that, I think plays a big part in it too. And so my I wouldn't say advice, but Jasmine, we need you, and I'm so glad that you are here. I'm so glad you're doing what you're doing. Please don't stop, and let the haters in the constructive criticism fuel your passion and fuel your creativity to continue to go forward. And know that there are tons of other Black businesses out there that, without a doubt, are facing the same thing. So you're definitely not a lot alone in that. And some people may give you flack for that, but I guarantee you that twice as many, if not more, will agree with you and understand exactly where you're coming from with that comment. So yeah. Kathy W. Thorne, how are you? Welcome to the Leon Block. Good for you. Bringing it to light, yes. Faith Moon Love, open conversations is key. Yes. I don't know who you are, Kathy, but I love you. Thank you for watching. And I hope you vote in general. Yeah. So it's never an episode if you don't attract a hater or two, or a racist or two. I've been known to attract a bunch. But yeah, going back to the topic. Yeah, so this has been an interesting talk. I definitely really love how we touched on relations that need to be had between Black-owned businesses in general, because the conversation should not just be between Black patronizers and Black-owned businesses, but I think there could be more room for more dialogue between Black-owned businesses to continue to form a coalition of sorts to uplift one another. So, like you were explaining at the beginning of this chat, when you were looking for a specific product from one business, they didn't have it. They took you to someone else they knew within their greater community and made sure that you did business with someone in their community. And I think that that is something we could all learn from. And I hope that people do at least take that away. Whoever listened to this conversation, I hope that that's at least one thing that they took away. Faith said she missed your business and location. So if you'd like to give any information on that, go ahead.
So I'm not actually a business owner. I am a co-founder of the organization Freedom Fighters in Wilkes-Barre. I just have been in customer service for many. When Jontel brought the topic up,
You faded out on that last part. I didn't hear you.
I was just saying that I'm not a business owner for the record. I'm a co-founder of Freedom Fighters organization in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. Service for a very long time, and some of the points that were brought up yesterday, I just felt like we could have a greater conversation today. That's why I wanted to definitely be a part of it. But I am not a business owner, just to let you guys know.
So Freedom Fighters, you guys do a lot of stuff up in Wilkes-Barre. Is there any you just did something for Valentine's Day? Is there any other events that you have coming up soon that you'd like to make people aware about, or anything to look out?
Absolutely. Sure. Absolutely. So February the 27th, we are doing a online because of COVID. It is going to be live. It's a ticketed event for $10. You can help support the beginning stages of our in Wilkes-Barre for our young people to continue to cultivate their talent. Just be. We went to the powers that be in appeal, and it was not a project that they were interested in taking at this time, but the need is now, and so we're going to build it ourselves. So you can support that. I will. You can go to You can go to Freedom Fighters on Facebook. We would love to see you there to check out some of the things that we've got going on. We've teamed up with RTA Productions here in Wilkes-Barre for this talent show. I will be hosting that talent show. It is going to be amazing. We'll be showcasing, and again, all the proceeds effort, a lot of different things behind building a community to appeal to the community to support that, and that takes money. So that's the beginning stages, and that's where we're at right now. So please, Freedom Fighters, you can go to my page, Cherie Clark. It's just like you see it on the screen on Facebook. I love new friends. Check me out.
I kind of missed you at that last part.
New friends, so come on and check me out. It's you can find me on Facebook, the name just the way that it appears on the screen.
Gotcha. All right. So yes, the 27th. Make sure check out talent show. I'm excited for that one. I'm really excited for that. And I'm really excited to work with you in the future more, because you're an amazing person. And I'll never forget the very first moment I actually met you. I don't know if you remember, but I went to a protest in Wilkes-Barre. I went to a protest in Wilkes-Barre, and I think you had just started Freedom Fighters, and you were handing out little flyers, and your voice stuck out to me. Like, you have such a powerful voice, and your name and your voice stuck out to me. So like, I hadn't heard from you maybe like in a month or two after that, and maybe like one of the chat rooms or like different things, you know, that we do meetings on and stuff. I think I came across you again. I got so excited because I got family in Wilkes-Barre. My my aunt owns a apartment company right downtown on South Main Street, and so I got a lot of family up there. And Wilkes-Barre is a place that's like still close to home and close to my heart. So it's nice to see another person of color fighting in a community that I still hold dear to my heart. So you definitely got a friend down here in Lancaster, always rooting for you and supporting you without a doubt.
And that's what we're talking about, that community. That's likewise, you know what I mean? Anything that I can assist you with, I'm here for you. And that's what it's about, folks. It's about community. It's about lifting each other up and supporting each other. And you know, we can do that on many fronts, organizationally, through business, and just in general. You know, it's really about being a support to one another. Again, one finger can do one thing, but many fingers together make a fist, and a fist can make a mighty blow.
Yes. Yeah. Yo, I need to write that down because that's, whew, I like that. I really like that. One last comment before we go, because I wanted you to see it. Faith said, "I really think you have so much to offer in terms of education, Cherie."
Thank you so much, Miss Faith. I appreciate that.
You're so well spoken.
And I'm ever learning.
As you should. One of my mottos, or John Tellisms, as I say, is you have to. It's important to learn something new every day. Even if it's just something small, a tad bit of information, it goes a long way. And you have a really great way of putting things and explaining history. I love history. I love education, but sometimes I have a hard time articulating that in a way that I would like to. But you have a great way of explaining how a piece of history brings you to where you are today, and you have a really great knack of that, and I respect you so much for that. So yeah,
thank you so much.
Make sure you go support Cherie and Freedom Fighters, and check out any events she has going on. Again, there's another event she has coming up on the 27th, so check that out. I'm sure you can check it out on her page. And of course, myself. I have a number of different platforms. This, of course, is the Leon Block. You can also check the Leon Block out on YouTube. You can also check out Anarchist Newsletter on Spotify, and the Leon's Revolution page as well. Thank you for tuning in to the Leon Block, and it was a pleasure having you all. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good night, Faith. She said she's going to check out your events. Good night, Mary.
Good night.
Good night, Arden. Thank you again, Cherie, for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
All right, y'all. Y'all be great.
Right,
have a great night.
Have a good one.